What's going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? We are back once again with another installment of my game collection series. And today, in part 3, we are going to be discussing my handheld systems, specifically the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance SP, the original Nintendo DS, and of course, the 3DS. So there's something that I feel compelled to express to you all before we dive too far into this video, and that is my undying love and appreciation for specifically these two fellas right here. Growing up as a kid in the late 90s and early 2000s meant that you and everybody you know probably had one of these. These were all the rage in my school and social circles. And this was the system that I had early on that I took very, very seriously. I think I had just about every accessory that you could have for my atomic purple Game Boy Color. I had the magnifying glass and the light, so I could play in the dark or in the car or pretty much anywhere where those types of things were needed in order to play. And you know, some of my fondest gaming memories are centered around these two systems. Specifically, you know, it's hard to think about a Game Boy without thinking about Pokemon. I think my friends and I played Pokemon literally every single day that we could get away with it, and it was hard to find one of us without a Game Boy Color in our pocket with a Pokemon game loaded into it. Specifically, I can remember, you know, not only, you know, battling and trading and all those things together via our Game Boys, but also I remember the relationship that the Game Boy Color and the Nintendo 64 had. Some of you will, most of you I would hope would remember that you could transport your Pokemon rosters from your Game Boy into the Pokemon Stadium games. And my friends and I did that all the time. We played the Pokemon games at one point to specifically catch and level up the best Pokemon that we could to further our progress in Pokemon Stadium. So essentially what I'm trying to tell you is that I just have very, very fond memories and a very deep-seated love and appreciation for the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance here. And the reason why I felt so compelled to share that with you is in an attempt to make my next statement sound less harsh. In an attempt to take the sting out of it, if you will. And that would be that this is the portion of the collection that kind of happened on accident. Or I should say, this is the portion of the collection that happened more out of opportunity than desire. You know, don't get me wrong, this is something that I really wanted to have in my collection, and these are something that I really wanted to collect for and grow, but the timing was just off. You know, these were something, honestly, these were probably the systems that I was going to collect last for. Just because in terms of everything else that I have, everything else that I spend money on, the idea of buying Game Boys or DS games or whatever, pretty much anything here just seemed kind of, I don't want to say silly, but unnecessary for me at the time. They just weren't very high on my list. But nonetheless, things happen for a reason, and I ended up with them. And I don't regret that. We got 2 out of 3 of these things, these lots here, on the Facebook marketplace for very decent prices, in very nice condition, and we just couldn't pass them up. These fellas came first, and then my girlfriend found this and bought this on her own volition, because she knew we needed it, and she's always wanted one. And then my little cousin sold me this, specifically to me. He didn't want it anymore, for whatever reason, and he specifically wanted me to have it because he knew I would appreciate it. He knew I needed it in my collection, and he knew that I would take care of it. So, I mean, overall, I ended up with it, with these, and I don't regret them. All I'm just trying to say is that, if left up to me, I probably wouldn't have had these when I got them. But, like I said, things happen for a reason, and I couldn't be happier thinking about it now that I actually have these in my possession. The one thing that I have to say that I would change is that I would want my atomic purple Game Boy Color back. And that definitely is a goal when I think of collecting for these things, is if I ever come across an atomic purple thing, an atomic purple Game Boy Color, with or without all the accessories, with or without all the carrying cases and stuff that I used to have as a kid. If I could find an atomic purple Game Boy Color in any capacity, you better believe I'm buying it. But for now, we'll just have to settle for the sexy, hot pink one here that we have. So without further ado, since we're on the Game Boy Color and I've talked so much about it, let's just start there with the middle of the pack and go through things as usual, game by game. So starting things off, Donkey Kong Country 3. After that, we have Super Mario Advance. Sorry, I'm blind and these come across blurry on camera at first. After that, we have Nickelodeon's Hey Arnold. Some of you 90s kids out there might remember the Hey Arnold movie, the original one. Not the new one that's come out recently or that is going to come out, but the one from the early 2000s. This is the game on that movie. I actually have that movie. My grandpa bought it for me recently because he and I were big fans of Hey Arnold, so it's kind of cool to have a game of something that I'm so fond of. Up next, we have Dr. Mario, a game that my girlfriend is significantly better than me at. After that, we have Super Mario Land. You 90s kids will probably remember a little show called Rocket Power. Next we have Crash Purple. And I think, if I remember correctly, this is one of 2 games that came out that kind of cross over with Spiral. And this is, I believe, the better of the 2. There's a purple and an orange one, and purple is definitely better. And finishing up the Game Boy side of things, we have Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. And I just have to say that this is probably, I think, personally, out of the collection that I have here, probably the coolest game that I have. I was pretty pumped to find out that this came with the game lot that we purchased from Facebook, and I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to be able to play Zelda 2 on your Game Boy. Which way should we go next? I guess we'll go to the 3DS, since that's the lesser of the two that we have left. Let's start with Sonic Lost World. After that, we have New Super Mario Bros. 2. And finishing it off, we have what I would consider my favorite game that I have for the DS so far, Epic Mickey. Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, specifically. Now we turn things over to the original DS, where we have the New Super Mario Bros., the first one. I actually have 2 copies of this because my girlfriend bought one and my cousin had one, so I only have one displayed out here, but I do have 2 copies of New Super Mario Brothers. After that, we have Spore. Some of you will probably remember the Spore computer game. I was a big fan of that one when I was younger. And this one is okay. After that, we have Zoo Tycoon DS. If you're a fan of Zoo Tycoon, let me just say that I would not recommend this one. I was very disappointed in it. I was hoping that it would be anything like the original computer version, and it's just a hot mess. So if you're a Zoo Tycoon fan, probably skip over this one. Next we have Cookin' Mama. Next, Super Mario Kart DS. Or sorry, Mario Kart DS. After that, we have a game called Snood, I believe. Like I said, I'm blind, so... After that, we have kind of a family game night type thing with a bunch of board games and stuff. Next, we have the Simpsons game. This is a fairly decent and fun port of this game, but I have to say I've also played it on the PS2, and I think I will be buying that one in the future just to have the Simpsons game on the better system. But this is still pretty good. After that, we have Mario Party DS. And finishing off the collection for us, of course, we have Plants vs. Zombies. I have spent so much time with this game, it's ridiculous. And with that, ladies and gents, it'll wrap things up. I have no more games here, as you can see. So yeah, that'll wrap up the handheld episode of this mini-series. Just let me know if you're enjoying things so far. I'm having a lot of fun making these videos, and I know that some of you are enjoying watching them, and we've got quite a ways to go. So just let me know, if you're liking what I'm doing, or if you're not, or whatever. As always, in closing, just make sure that you follow everything in my banner. Those are all my social media accounts. Follow Twitter, Instagram, if you're curious at all about the upcoming YouTube videos. Before they get put up on YouTube, I post the thumbnails and little bits of information there. Check out the Facebook pages that I have up there for any and all news about the book. I just want to give a shout out to everybody that has helped grow the pages. Over the last week or two, we've seen a pretty exceptional growth, all things considered. And if you're somebody that hasn't jumped on the wagon, don't hesitate to do so. We would love to have you. We have a lot of fun over there. So yeah, jump on Instagram and follow me if you haven't. Jump on the Facebook pages and like and follow those if you haven't, and take part in the King Jabberwocky community. And as always, on YouTube, just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on when any videos that I make go up. Just for example, if you don't want to miss part 4 of this series, you're going to want to hit that notification bell, because that will tell you precisely the moment that part 4 goes up. With that said, guys, that'll about do it for me. And until next time, until part 4, hopefully. As always, I salute you. And remember, we're all mad here.